Once, in a fold of the hills, there was a stately home called Badgerwood House. Families came to visit it and play and have picnics in its beautiful park. Behind the house was a children's farmyard with lots of animals. One of the animals was a piglet. His name was Piggo.
Piggo and the Woolly Ball. It was nearly Christmas and very cold. Piggo was watching the sheep graze. Shirley, an old, large sheep, left the flock and wandered over to a tree not far from Piggo. She looked all round the trunk for the right spot, then leaned up against it and had a good scratch, rubbing her great woolly fleece backwards and forwards against the rough bark. "I'm going to see her," thought Piggo, and rushed off. "Hello, Shirley." Her eyes were closed with pleasure. She opened one and said, "Oh, hello, Piggo. If there's one thing I do like, it's a nice, long scratch." "Do you itch a lot?" asked Piggo. "Oh, now and then. When your wool is as thick as mine, it's so difficult to get at," she sighed. She stood still and waited to see if the itch came back. Then her face brightened. It had gone. "Oh, that's much better, Piggo," she said. "I'm so glad this tree is here. I don't know what I'd do without it." She shook her enormous fleece again and tottered off to join her sisters. Piggo watched her go, then looked back at the tree. Shirley had left something behind. Blowing out from the tree trunk in thick, woolly ribbons were long strands of her wool. A few tumbled down onto the grass. Piggo gave them a push with his nose, and they tangled up together into a large, soft ball. It was as light as a feather. He pushed it again, and it rolled away like a big, soft snowball. Piggo chased it delightedly, pushing it and running after it, and it was such a good game that he didn't even notice where he was going. At last he looked up and found that he was in the farmyard, right outside Clarence's office. He could hear Judy whispering to herself inside. Piggo trotted up and peered in. She was bending over a small fir tree in a tub and smiling happily to herself. "Won't Clarence have a surprise when he gets back from the market?" she whispered, threading bright silver tinsel through the green branches. "A Christmas tree! He never has one of his own. His office never looks nice and Christmassy. Well, this year is going to be different. Wait till he sees. Now, what else is there?" She searched in a cardboard box beside her. Then she saw Piggo looking in. "Oh, hello, Piggo," she called in her kind voice. "What do you think of my surprise Christmas tree for Clarence? Isn't it pretty? Look, Mum's given me these things to put on it." She showed him her box. Then, one by one, she took the things out and hung them onto the tree. There were long ropes of silver tinsel, a tiny snowman, things in red and gold paper, and a bell wrapped in silver foil, which smelt deliciously of chocolate. "I made these," Judy said, and opened up a sheet of newspaper on the floor. Inside was a pile of fir cones all sprayed with silver paint. She placed them on the branches. Piggo stared up in wonder at the Christmas tree. He had never seen anything like it before. The decorations sparkled and shone like magic. But Judy stood back from it and looked at it with her head on one side. "There are too many gaps," she said sadly. "What I really need is some snow. Well, not real snow because it would melt, but something that looks like snow. She took a package wrapped in blue paper out of Clarence's first aid box and looked at it. This cotton wool would be just right, but Clarence needs it, Judy said. Piggo looked at the white woolly stuff poking out of the blue package. Then he looked at Judy's disappointed face. He thought of his woolly ball. Where was it? He dashed outside and looked around. Had the wind blown it away? No, there it was. He trotted over and carefully rolled it back to Judy. She looked up in surprise as a woolly ball came rolling through the door with Piggo close behind it. Piggo! She cried and ran to pick it up. Just what I need for my snow. She pulled out the few leaves and twigs which had stuck to it, then teased out a long strand and rolled it up into a little ball. She made lots and dotted them all over the prickly green branches of the Christmas tree. Thank you, Piggo. Now my tree is really finished. This will give Clarence a happy Christmas, Judy said. She took something out of Clarence's big cupboard and gave it to Piggo. It was a turnip, a round, juicy, green and white one, Piggo's favourite. Judy gave him a friendly cuddle and said, "And you have a happy Christmas too, Piggo." Piggo trotted off with his turnip, thinking to himself that this was going to be a very happy Christmas indeed.